from Working Class Fishing. I'm cleaning cat hair off my coffee cup. Like I said, I'm John. I'm here from Working Class Fishing, Morris Flyco. Brian said, "Hey, dude, make a video showing people what are some of your basic things you need to get started in fly tying." It was like, dude, that's a pretty good idea. I mean, we did building on a budget for rods and reels. Hold on a coffee break. And I was like, well, the hell with it. I should do one for fly tying also, just like you said. So let's get down. All right. You need a vise, my dudes. There's pedestal vices. A pedestal vise, when you're looking at this, all that means is it has this really heavy base. It just sits flat. You don't have to clamp it to anything or whatever. You can get a good pedestal vise with rotary functions, which is made by Peak. A couple other good companies around that price range. I think Peak's probably my highest recommended. Um, I've got a buddy that has a code or will have a code with Peak Vices here soon, so contact me about that and we can get you a discount. Possibly. It's not for certain yet, but we'll see. And yeah, get a vice. Get what you can afford. Okay. There's vices from JS Stockard, J Stockard Fly Supply, jsflyfishing.com. Um, Go to their website. You can get a rotary vise for $20. That vise is worth $20. This vise is like $250, $300. There's a significant difference between how much you pay for something in the fly tying world. That doesn't mean everything. Now, hear me out. That doesn't mean just because you spend $200 on a certain yarn that it's going to catch more fish. That's not the case. But there are certain things you should just save up and get a good version of. Renzetti makes a good vise. Peak makes a good entry level vise. HMH makes a pretty good vise. There's a lot of really good vices. Okay. Starting out, get what you can afford. If all you can get is a clamp vise, which by clamp vise I mean clamps on your table, spin the knob just like a regular bench vise, tightens down, and you're good. Okay. Rotary is just handy. Super handy to have rotary vise. Well, now we're going to get into bobbins. Okay. All a bobbin does is it holds your thread. Okay, this is a $3.50 bobbin. This is a $25 bobbin. They both do the same exact thing, except this one has a tensioning spool and it applies the same tension the whole time. And I can just leave my thread hanging off of it and it just sits there. It doesn't slide down. Now this one is literally less than a quarter of the price. It's maybe a fifth of the price. It pretty much does the same thing because your old meat servos right here are your tensioners. You pops the thread in there, you run it up, suck it out, and you're tying. No big deal. Get what you can afford. I like tensioned bobbins personally. I own two of these. These are Right Bobbin standards. They got Right Bobbin. I think they're called Magnums or Large or something like that. That's my next investment for streamers because I like the smaller ceramic tips for most of my stuff, but for streamers, I sure would like to have a longer tip. So that's my next investment. Okay, threads. Doesn't matter for the most part. Any fly tying thread is pretty good. There's a couple companies I am going to recommend over others. Once again, get what you can afford. Don't break the bank. trying to tie flies, and don't think you're going to make a lot of money tying flies unless you're sponsored by companies, and that's the only way. Or you're sponsored by a shop, or you tie for a shop. Because if you don't get the discounts for stuff, you're not going to make money, because you're going to have to charge more for maybe I should do a video on, so you want to own your own fly tying company or something. But don't think you're going to get into this and make a whole lot of money off the get-go if that's your idea. Okay, but let's get back on track. Thread. River runs through. River runs through it. Good movie. River Runs USA is your Amazon thread that works pretty good. If you can only afford 2 colors of thread, get white and black. You can color white thread any color. Black thread is black. Okay. Dark flies, use black. Light flies, use white. I mean, it's pretty easy. You don't have to have anything crazy. Okay. You can kind of see over here. That's a lot of my thread. All right, so I have a lot of different colors over there because I don't like coloring white thread all the time. It goes back to what's convenient for you. Okay. I don't want to have to color, you know, a yard or half a yard of white thread, orange, to tie up 6 or 7 flies. I don't want to do that. Just not my idea of fun. So we've talked bobbins, we've talked vices. Let's get into hooks. Hooks are one thing you cannot skimp on. Period. Hands down. Don't skip on your hooks. Expensive hooks are actually good hooks. Okay. I use Firehole. I tie and sell on Firehole. Not sponsored by anyone, so literally no one. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. Okay. I don't have to, by law or contract, disclose or not disclose any information. Firehole makes a good hook. Mustad makes a good hook. Owner. Fooling Mills. Risen Fly does not make a good hook. They don't. I don't like the hooks. If that's all you can afford, get them. They'll fish. But you have to keep in mind that they can break very easily. I mean, it's like $3 or $2.50 for like 25, 30, 50 hooks, something like that. Really, really affordable. Now, the one hook from Risen that I do like is their 200R, which is what I use for my stimulators and really big chronobids and stuff like that. It's a good hook. It's a drop point curve shank hook. But literally everything else, Firehole for me. Okay. Now we've talked bobbins, all this other stuff. We talked hooks. We talked threads. Now let's talk scissors. Okay. These are called hair scissors. I've actually got another pair of scissors over here. These are razor scissors by Dr. Slick with a tensioner on them. Incredibly sharp scissors. Very expensive. They wear out too fast for my liking. Both of these pairs of scissors cost me less than that one pair of scissors over there. In fact, I got these and another tool for less than those scissors, and these have lasted me longer than those other scissors. Also with a tensioner. These are spring scissors. These are tungsten carbide spring scissors from Andronimus Fly Company. These are some of their hair scissors. Okay, these are pretty good for the price. I mean, I'm not saying they're the best thing ever, but for the price, they're good. I like these spring scissors for dry flies because I can get right in there and snip. Or really small flies because they're very, very accurate and the tips are very small. Now, these are very fine tips also, but I use these for bigger flies and I use these for hair, specifically hair. These are a good hair scissor. Okay. Now, you have beads, you have tungsten, you have brass, all kinds of different colored beads. And these are slotted tungsten, okay? These are 4.5 mil slotted tungsten beads. Those are really big. I use those for streamers. There's a lot of patterns that are going to use beads. Not every nymph is going to need a tungsten bead, okay? Tungsten is expensive. Okay, when I tie Euro nymphs, I use tungsten because that's what those dudes like, because they like the heavier flies to get them down in the runs, and so they can fish them and jig them how they want. That's Euro nymphing. I don't know a ton about it, but I know they like tungsten. But your regular nymphs that you're just like fishing under an indicator, under a dry fly, just get some brass beads, some little copper beads, glass beads. Get what you can afford. Yeah, I mean, you can get a whole lot on Amazon for pretty cheap. The sizes I would look for would be the size I would look for would be a 5/32 diameter. If you're tying for, I mean, it'll tell you, right? So these are slotted tungsten beads from Wapsi. That's the company I use for most slotted beads. Size them appropriately, man. Because if you don't, then they're not gonna work because you're gonna cover your hook eye. Too big of a bead swallows up the hook eye, and you can't even tie on it. Excuse me. You can't even tie in it either. You can't get your line through it. Even 6x, 7x tippet won't fit. So appropriately sized beads are important. Okay. Wire. Lead-free lead wire. Helps secure bodies. Helps weight down flies. If I had to get one size wire, it would be this 28 gauge or this 0.012 wire. That if other than that, get 0.35 or 0.035 lead wire or lead-free wire. That's really heavy stuff. It's good. So now we've covered all the way up to if we were dressing a hook, we've got our thread, we've got our weight. Well, now we got to get into the meat and potatoes of your flies, okay? Dubbing. Let's talk dubbing for a second. Okay, this is a hare's ear dispenser from Hairline. 12 different colors. Hare's ear is super great. You can get a hare's mask, and I can teach you guys how to make hare's ear dubbing if you want. I mean, there's a quick and easy way to do it. There's a lot of ways to make your own stuff. Okay, don't think you have to buy name brand stuff. My mop flies are not name brand anything. I don't get mop Chanel. It's a waste. There's some things that are a waste to buy. But dubbing you can get from anywhere. If you got a cat, brush it. That underfur makes great dubbing. But this is wool roving. Wool roving can be bought at Hobby Lobby in big swaths, big, huge packs of it for like 10, 15 bucks for an exuberant amount of dubbing. Absolutely enough dubbing to last you for years, literally years. And it's pretty affordable, a lot of cool colors. Okay, so we've got our dubbing. Now we need to talk Hackle. Okay, so Hackle, there's a lot to talk about. You've got dry fly Hackle, you've got wet fly Hackle. You've got Hackle that looks the same, but one's for dry flies, one's for wet flies. I'm not giving a class on Hackle right now. What I am going to tell you is you need dry fly hackle and you need wet fly hackle. Dry fly floats, and it floats because it has stiff barbels on. These are dry fly, these are pieces of dry fly capes. Okay, I've got olive, black, and March brown. Because they're out of white, and I've been wanting white forever. These are like $50 a piece. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have waited and just bought Whiting Farms. But those float, and they tie fine. And if you're tying for yourself, get them, dude. They work all right. But Whiting Farms has the best hackle, hands down, entire spectrum. But it's expensive. You pay for it. You want dry fly hackle? You want wet fly hackle? Pheasant skins have all the hackle in the world that you're ever going to want for wet flies. Absolutely astounding amounts. There's marabou and all kinds of stuff on there too. Okay, so what is this? Well, this is ringneck pheasant tail. And these longer ones are used to make pheasant tail nymphs. Frank Sawyer created the pheasant tail nymph. It's like one of the most famous nymphs ever. Frank Sawyer also created the Utah killer bug. Not Utah killer bug, but the killer bug, which the Utah killer bug was made from. You're going to want some pheasant tail. Pheasant tail is used in, tons and tons of nymphs. They used to make grasshopper legs. There's a lot you can do with a pheasant tail. You can tie an entire nymph out of just pheasant tail. Just pheasant tail. All right. Something else you're going to want is peacock. This is strung peacock. You can get strung peacock for about, I don't know, $4 or $5 online. Everything I'm showing you, you can get online right now. Peacock's used in nymphs. It's used in streamers. It's used in dry flies. It's good to have. A lot of your more early flies, your more beginner-friendly flies, I would say, not easy, but beginner-friendly, will use peacock in somewhere. Hell, a Griffith's net uses dry fly hackle and peacock. That's it. Super easy. So now we've talked about from the vise up to now we've tied all this on. Well, then you're going to want to finish it. You can half hitch, you can whip finish. There's different ways to finish flies, but this is a whip finish tool. Whip finish tools they're just handy, dude. I can hand whip finish, sometimes I do on different junctions on flies, but majority of the time I use a whip finish tool. It's cleaner, it's consistent. I like it. If you are going to get into tying streamers off the break, consider getting a dubbing whirler. One with ball bearings. So you can spin it. This one actually needs a little bit of oil, as you can hear those bearings grinding a little bit. But you never actually spin it like that. It's just kind of like this. Dubbing whirler. It's a good tool even for wet flies. Spinning any of your dubbing you make into a loop makes it stronger. Period. Hands down. 100%. It's a lot harder to pick out or fish to take out a dubbing body that has been spun rather than spun onto thread, or put in a loop rather than spun on a thread. So we finished our fly now. Now we have some more options to put a little bit more finish on the fly. Okay. You have head cements. which are like this, which is loon-based head cement and Sally Hansen hard as nails. These are really affordable. Sally Hansen hard as nails you can get at your local Walmart. You can get them at Ulta Beauty, all kinds of places like that, Walgreens. I get mine at Walmart though. It's pretty cheap. It's like $5. And then I got this model car needle applicator bottle, which has here I'll show you. It's a fine tip needle here with a little wire that keeps it from getting clogged up. And then if you want a big one, you got it here with another wire that keeps it from getting clogged up. It takes about 2 bottles to fill this up. And I've been using this for like 2 months now, and I've only used that much head cement out of it. So you spend 20 bucks, you got head cement for the year. It takes like 1 drop for 1 or 2 drops for dry flies, however much you want for streamers, but it does smell. But if you want a more eco-friendly kind of deal, Loon, water-based, this is really, really good for dry flies. Okay. If it gets stuck in the hook eye, you can just flick your hook eye and it comes right out. It's really easy to use. It's safe for the fishery. If that is your most important thing when you're tying flies, is to be safe for your fishery, water-based head cement is going to be your friend. If you're looking for something that's really tough for like saltwater, things like that, you're going to want a good head cement. And then you've got UV resins. This is Solarez Thin. Gulf makes a really, really good Gulf resin, makes a really good UV resin. Something to keep in consideration though is if you get UV resin, you have to have a UV torch or UV flashlight. Okay, to cure this resin, you have to have ultraviolet rays. And the easiest way and the quickest way to do that is to get a UV torch and cure it in like 4 or 5 seconds, and you're good to go. You'll see that on a lot of different flies. They use UV resin like on ants and heads for wet flies and all kinds of like salmon flies and stuff, because it makes a really clean looking head and a really durable head if you do it right. You can do it wrong and it won't help you at all. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Another tool you don't really need now, but you might want, is a Vodka Needle. Okay, this one is actually a clay working tool that I got from a craft store for my kid. I like how the handle's bigger. It's like a pin size, so I can actually pick stuff out a little bit better. Vodka needles are used to pick out dubbing, make it fluffier, pick out trapped hackle fibers, clean out hook eyes. But if you're cleaning out hook eyes, you're also going to want a lighter of some sort, so you can heat up your bodkin and dip it through that hook eye and take all that head cement out of it that you accidentally got in there, because it's going to happen at some point. But pretty much, those are the things you're going to want to get started. You don't have to have them all right now. You need to decide what kind of fly you're going to get, or what kind of fly you want to start tying, and then let us know in the comments what flies you're going to want to start tying, and then we can help you figure out what you need. Okay. There's a lot of great places to buy all this stuff. If you can shop local, shop local. I'm really good friends with a dude that owns a outdoors and fishing shop in New Mexico called West Mountain Outdoors. Okay, West Mountain Outdoors. Joel's got all the stuff you're gonna want. He's got it for a good price. You can pick it up there if you can't shop local. And then for some reason, if Joel doesn't have what you want, there's a plethora, of places you can go, and we'll help you figure out what you need. But remember, until next time, I'm John Morris, once again here on Working Class Fishing. You can find us on Instagram at Working Class Fishing, and you can find me on Instagram at Morris Flyco. And that's pretty much it. Keep fishing and eat your vegetables. See ya.